Despite Kevin Durant being heavily criticized this offseason for leaving the Thunder and creating a super team with the Warriors, he was still voted the #1 favorite player in an NBA.com rookie poll for the third straight season. Meanwhile, the reigning two-time MVP, Steph Curry, didn't even rank in the top 9. Curry was tied for 4th in the same poll last year. What does this rookie vote say about Steph Curry, Max?
Two things. First and foremost, that he just choked in the finals. Now, I know he wasn't physically 100%, but it looked like LeBron took his heart. I mean, that was part of LeBron's strategy. It looked like dunking on him, screaming at him, Steph kind of slinking away. It breaks my heart to say this because I love Steph Curry, love his game, love watching him, love the fact that he kind of inspires kids. He's not the biggest, not the strongest, not the fastest, and yet somehow one of the best. But after a finals 2 years ago, where it was like, okay, fine, he's passing out of the double team before it comes, and therefore he's actually helping his team, but his personal numbers won't look great. But was he really as good as he normally is? He followed it up with this finals where his team blew a 3-1 lead, and he was not his normal self in the finals, injury or no. And that reinforces, I think, a sense among players, especially players coming into the league, that this league is so suited to Steph Curry that it's making him seem better than he actually is. You can't touch him. But at wide-open three-point shooting kind of league, that's perfect for Steph Curry. But then once the playoffs started, Stephen A., you brought it up the other day, and they called it a little more loosely, suddenly that effectiveness diminished. In other words, the rookies are going, look, we know who's really the best. We look at guys like LeBron and Durant, Westbrook. We can see they're better, but somehow the way the game is called and played now, Steph is kind of glorified out of proportion. I think both those things are going on, but especially the choking in this year's finals.
What it says, Max Kellerman, is that people don't know basketball, and they need to shut the hell up because they make no sense whatsoever. Steph Curry is the reigning two-time league MVP. His numbers for the regular season was he averaged 30 on 50% shooting from the field and 45% shooting from the free throw line, from the three-point range, shooting 90% from the free throw line and averaging nearly 7 assists per game. That is just ignorant for 10 players, including Kevin Garnett, by the way, who I love, who's a future Hall of Famer, but clearly is beyond his prime. And, you know, he'll retire soon enough and become a part owner, hopefully at the Minnesota Timberwolves or some other team. The bottom line is that Steph Curry should be right up there with everybody. I have no aversion to Kevin Durant. He's one of the top 3 players in the world. He's a superstar. And obviously the eye of the storm is going to be upon him. So when you look at a guy that's 6'10", 6'11", with a 7'6" wingspan, who can handle the rock and shoot the ball from all over the place the way Kevin Durant does, we can understand that the rookies would gravitate to him to some degree. But they're rookies for a reason, because their breath smells like Similac. They're wet behind the ears. They don't know any damn better. And they're going to find out about how good Steph Curry is when they get on a court with him next season. That's what this shows. They lack an appreciation because they're caught up in the size, the way the game has evolved, being tall and being gifted as Kevin Durant is, and they're not appreciating the marksmanship, the sniper-like abilities of a Steph Curry. But they'll find out when they get in the league and go against them. They know what Kevin Durant's going to do to them, because he's damn near 7 feet tall with a handle and a shot. But when they get on the court against Steph Curry, they're about to learn why Kevin Durant decided to go to Golden State. You see, you got to remember, Steph Curry didn't go to Oklahoma City. Kevin Durant came to Golden State.
And the ball doesn't stick with Curry either. He moves it.
Because Steph Curry was there.
Look,
Let's remember that.
I love Steph Curry, but Stephen A., you just mentioned his regular season numbers. He was clearly the MVP. I was on TV saying he should be the star.
25 points per game at 43% shooting in the playoffs. He should be the star of
Space Jam 2 because it's his world. But in the finals, LeBron made it very clear, no, it's not his world. And Steph's performance diminished.
So let me get this straight.
Yeah.
I wasn't the best player in the world. I may be number 2. Oh, my God, stop the presses. I mean, let's stop the presses. Something's going to happen. Something's going to happen because Kevin, I'm not better than LeBron James. Hold on. No,
he wasn't.
I'm not better than LeBron James. Wow.
He wasn't better than Draymond. I love Steph, but he wasn't better than Draymond in the finals.
He was hurt.
Okay, fine. That's 2 years in a row where his performance diminished in the finals.
Yeah, but diminished according to what?
According to the standard he set in the regular season.
Right. And what was that standard?
Very high, and then
So even
yes.
so
Like
even
Peyton
an average
Manning used
Steph
to be
Curry,
the best regular season quarterback ever, and not so good
I
in the
have a
playoffs.
question. Talking and not answering my question ain't gonna help you. 25 points per
Don't need
game
help.
on 43% shooting
Yeah.
in the playoffs. That's horrible?
It's worse
That's
than
horrible?
he normally is, which means he folded under
Guys.
pressure, according to the rookies.
Guys, we
Keep
gotta
talking.
go.
I'm gonna ban your basketball card. I'm gonna ban it.
So
I'm gonna ban it.
fiery today. When we come back, Boomer Esiason not only had comments on Colin Kaepernick's silent protest, but also on the NBA players who opened the ESPYs with a socially conscious call to action. More specifically, Carmelo Anthony. Esiason, speaking at a CBS event Tuesday, started by telling Bob Glauber of the Newsday that he disagrees with Kaepernick's actions on sitting during the national anthem. Quote, at the end of the day, if he wants to do it in a news conference, if he wants to do it and talk about it at the ESPYs and talk about it at an event he's having, more power to him. But if Carmelo Anthony walks on the court in a Knicks uniform and starts in with this, I think it's going to create a lot of problems. I don't think it's their right to do it on a court which a team pays them millions of dollars to perform a job. Stephen A., how should Melo feel about these suggestions?
He should be disgusted with it, just the same way that I am, because once again, like we started off the show about Colin Kaepernick, as it pertains to Boomer Esiason's comments, the same holds true with his comments about Carmelo Anthony. So let me get this straight. Because you're making millions of dollars to play basketball, you can't peacefully protest. We're not talking about Carmelo Anthony walking out to the Garden and refusing to play basketball or interrupting the game or not giving the paying patrons what they came to see. We're talking about what if, hypothetically speaking, Carmelo Anthony decided to sit on the bench during the national anthem. Boomer Esiason is saying, excuse me, you'd cut him too? I just, listen, again, I want to emphasize, I don't know much about Boomer Esiason, but everything that I do know, I know he's smart as a whip. I know he knows his football. I know he's an incredible analyst on radio and television. Personally, I'm very fond of him and the work that he does in the community as well. He's to be commended. I'm only speaking specifically about these quotes. First about Kaepernick, now about Melo. He's got some damn nerves because essentially he's basically trying to sit there and say, oh, you can protest, but here's when you should do it, and here's how you should do it. Well, clearly he hasn't protested at any time in his life because that's the antithesis of what a protest is supposed to be about. We looked at the folks at the ESPYs, Melo, LeBron, CP, D-Wade. We applaud them. We definitely should applaud them for being conscientious observers, superstar athletes with wealth and fame who are willing to bring attention to the violence and the need to put it to an end to the best of our ability. We applaud them for that. But we have to also recognize that they said things that nobody could disagree with. But the second Colin Kaepernick does something that is disagreeable, you've got Boomer Esiason that wants him cut, doesn't want him having an NFL career, even though Boomer Esiason damn well knows that the NFL encourages you to stand, but doesn't enforce it, doesn't mandate it. He knows that the laws of our nation, based on our First Amendment rights in the Constitution, stipulate that Colin Kaepernick has that right. If you look at the history of the flag, of the national anthem, then you're going to think about black folks, okay, who were denied rights even at the time that the national anthem was constructed. And so when you look at it from that perspective, he's clearly coming from a different stratosphere. I can understand that. I can understand a level of ignorance to it. But then to turn around and act like people should be punished for it, in the case of Colin Kaepernick, be cut, or to threaten that if Melo decided to do something like that, it would be a problem. Here's what our problem should be with Carmelo Anthony. We want the Knicks past the first round. That's it. There's nothing else that Carmelo Anthony has done. He's a good man. He's a good family person. He's got a wonderful wife, wonderful family and friends. He represents the New York Knicks organization exemplary, doesn't get into any trouble. And by the way, no one gives Carmelo Anthony credit for what he goes in the city of Baltimore and tries to do to quell the violence and to contribute to the to the impoverished in that community and beyond. Carmelo Anthony is a good brother. I got one problem with him and one problem only. I appreciate the gold medals, but damn it, I want an NBA championship. That's it. There's nothing else wrong with Carmelo Anthony, even if he did elect to sit down. And I'm not saying he would do that, because knowing him, he probably wouldn't do it. But if he did do that, and Boomer Esiason said something like that, like I said, I would be very depressed that I'm working for ESPN and he's working for CBS because we couldn't get together to debate this topic, because I would love to do it.
I really don't like this comment that he made about Carmelo, that Boomer Esiason made about Carmelo. I really didn't like the comment about Kaepernick. I find it ill-considered, not well thought out, and essentially anti-intellectual, but in this case, even worse, the Carmelo stuff. This is my paraphrasing of what Boomer is saying. I get the sense that Carmelo's the kind of guy who might get ready to challenge the status quo at Madison Square Garden. He better not. Stay in your place. Now, the NBA does have a rule, which I think Adam Silver should consider changing, that it's compulsory. You must stand for the national anthem. What the national anthem has to do with basketball, I'm not exactly sure. Well, you're honoring this country, and if you want to connect it to the military, brave men and women who protect your freedom and give you the ability to play basketball, they also give you the ability to make purchases at stores. You don't stand for a national anthem every time you do that. Or a public gathering like watching a movie. You don't stand for the national anthem every time you watch a movie. But for some reason, in sporting arenas, you stand for the national anthem every time. And in the NBA, it is compulsory, making it, in my view, meaningless. If you have to do it, well, how is it a show of patriotism? Think it through, Boomer Esiason. But the idea that that Carmelo should stay in his place and that has no place on the basketball court. When you are asked to participate in something, and you brought this up, Stephen A., you're not staging a march or a sit-in even. You're not doing something disruptive. You're simply choosing not to participate in a forced show of, in my view, non-patriotism if you got to do it. And then to connect it to the sports world as though because the Knicks are paying you somehow, that means you got, it doesn't add up, it doesn't make sense, and it reinforces the status quo, which is the whole point of American protest in the first place. Well, make it better by not accepting, by challenging the status quo.
Well, I co-sign on that. I appreciate you saying that, but here's one thing where I would tend to disagree with you. I don't think Adam Silver needs to change the rule in the NBA. Here is why. It's a private industry. And if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. Players do not have to participate. They do not have to play in the NBA if they don't want to. You don't have to play in the NFL if you don't want to. I would prefer that the league mirrors what the NFL does. We would encourage it, but not demand and mandate it. I would prefer that. But I don't want it to come across as if Adam Silver has to change it.
No.
Because any private industry has the right, if you own the league or if you are a part of a private industry and you believe that you stand for the national anthem because America is a great nation and we're all fortunate and blessed enough to be a part of it, and that's the industry that you're running, you have a right to sit up there and have those rules in place. And if you don't want to do it, don't play in the NBA.
He does have that right, and he's reflecting the will of the owners in many respects, but that the owners are people who are extremely successful, given the status quo, and have every reason to want to reinforce it. And I'm not saying he must do it. I'm saying if Adam Silver thinks it through, and he's shown, I think, an incredible capacity to understand the point of view of the players more than any other commissioner in a major sport currently in this, maybe ever. He would, by the way, even if you believe in it, as I've been trying to say, if you're forcing everyone to do it, it's a show of nothing. If it's not compulsory, it's a show of patriotism. So if you want to reinforce patriotism, you take away the draconian rule that you must stand for it.
Okay, that has to be the last word there.